Rapist taxi driver forces drugs on me and tries to stalk me. I'm a petite 24-year-old female from the mainland of the US, but this story takes place when I was 19 and living in Hawaii. Now, the area I lived in was really ghetto, and being half Canadian and half Guamanian but light-skinned, I was the closest thing to a white person in the entire city I lived in. Whenever I told a local where I lived, they gave me a funny look like I was crazy or lying. This is relevant, I swear. So because where I lived had absolutely no jobs, and I was living with my Hawaiian and ghetto cousins, who were all carless, I had to take 2 buses for an hour to work, both ways. The day this happened, I was covering for a coworker who had a family emergency and it was a Sunday. I never worked a Sunday before, and the shift was also 2 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. No big deal. There's a bus stop right next to my work, and they run until midnight, right? Wrong. Buses stop running at 10 p.m. on Sundays. So here I am, standing at a bus stop alone, for about 40 minutes. Businesses all around me are closing. It's getting darker and darker, I'm starting to panic. I'm completely alone, save for the occasional hooker and John, wandering around looking for dark alleys and crystal meth. Hawaii is a scary place at nighttime. Don't believe the paradise hype. Outside of Waikiki and North Shore. All of a sudden, some homeless, toothless meth head pops out of nowhere and says, "Oh, bad word for white person. Da bus no run this late, you fucked. Start walking, you skinny ass home." I realized how fucked I am. My neighborhood is seriously dangerous, so even if I did manage to walk home safely, there's no way I'm walking through Camp Park at night alone. It just isn't happening, so I open my purse and check my wallet, and find out that one of my cousins had, indeed, borrowed my last $50, but was nice enough to leave me enough for the bus that isn't coming, meaning I can't even call a cab home. Oh, and my phone is dead, because there was some big shot GM at my work today, so I wasn't allowed to charge it at my cashier station, and didn't trust it alone in the break room. As I'm internally having a fucking mental breakdown, a taxi cab pulls up in front of me, windows down. "Sorry dude, I'd love a ride, but I don't have any cash," I tell the taxi driver. He looks at me, looks around and sighs. "Well, where do you need to go? I can't leave you here now that I know that. I'll end up seeing you on the 5 o'clock news." I tell him my neighborhood, and he does a double take, then shrugs and motions for me to get in the back. I'm so happy I ignore the foreboding feeling I have in the back of my mind. I've only been living here for 2 months, and my luck has been so shitty. Being robbed, jumped, tricked into stealing, you name it. It happened, and through such sneaky ways that I'm just like, yes, my luck is changing. Nah, I was wrong. I hopped in the back, gave him my cross streets kinda near my house, and tell him I'll get his number and pay him later. Thank God I couldn't remember my address. Everything is normal for the first 20 minutes of the ride. Then he starts asking me really weird questions. "How old are you? Are you a virgin? Are you married? Do you carry a gun in that big purse? Ha 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 ha." I lie and tell him yes, on the gun, starting to feel creeped out. He stops talking after that for a bit, until he notices he's almost out of gas. I look, he really is almost out, so we pull up to a gas station, but instead of parking next to a pump, he parks behind the building near a dumpster and says, "I'm gonna pay for gas and have a snack, then I'll take it back." I start to say something about needing to go home, and he cuts me off. "You're riding for free. Let me eat my fucking snack." I'm like, oh, okay, and consider bolting when he comes back, but I have no idea where we are or how to get home. So instead, when he leaves, I reach into the front and unlock all the doors just in case. It was an older model car, so I knew they'd stayed unlocked unless he manually locked them again. He comes back, empty-handed, no snack. Fuck, am I the snack? Fuck. He gets in the front seat, opens the middle console, and pulls out a fucking meth pipe, a baggie of meth, a weed pipe, some weed, and a lighter. "Let me have my snack, then we can go." He packs the method pipe, takes a few hits and blows at me. Then he starts passing it to me. "I'm good for right now, thanks." He looks pissed, but puts it down and grabs the weed pipe, repeats the process. I'm like 2 seconds from bolting when he throws the car in reverse and leaves, without pumping any gas, not holding the method pipe again, and taking occasional hits. What the fuck, I'm freaking out. This dude is driving like 70 miles per hour in a 30 lane, high as a fucking kite. But the scenery starts to look familiar. I realize we're like 5 minutes from my house. I look over, doors are still unlocked, gotta think fast. His hand is slowly reaching for my knee, and he's looking right at me. not at the road, and now he's moaning like my thigh is giving him the world's best orgasm. We're gonna have fun tonight, baby. I'll teach you how to take a dick. I tell him I'm not interested and he just laughs. Your phone is dead. Who you gotta call? Ghostbusters? We're in Kalihi, girl. His hand is still on my leg, and he takes a left, away from the street I live on. I realize how fucked I am, but I'm oddly calm. I change tactics. Problem is, if I don't check in, they'll come looking for me. I'm down to party, but I gotta check in first. I'm a little white girl. If I don't come home, they'll go check my work, and my coworkers saw me leave with you. I don't want you to get in trouble. You know how white people are. I'm counting on the fact that he doesn't know how my family isn't white. I'm counting on the fact that he's high enough to not know I'm lying, and I'm counting on the fact that he didn't see all of my coworkers were gone. He gives me a weird look, then hands me the pipe. Alright, girl, let's party. I hold the pipe up to my lips, wait for him to look towards the road, and emulate what I saw him doing, turning it side by side while lighting it. I produce a tiny bit of smoke, don't inhale, and immediately blow it out, hoping to God I don't get fucking high, and I never have to explain why there is meth in my system if I do get high. You're fucking burning it! He gets pissed and grabs the not hot end of the pipe from me, wasting my fucking dinner. I'll show you how to do it right. He takes a hard right, and I realize he's headed for the cross streets I told him. My vision is a little fucked. Everything seems too bright, and my adrenaline starts to feel almost euphoric. Fuck, am I high? Fuck. The street I live on is wrapped around a hill, easily a mile wide, and the cross streets I have him are about a quarter mile from my house. As we get close to the cross streets, he slows down, asking where my house is. I lie and say I can't tell him. Can he slow down? It's so dark, and I just moved there, and all the houses look the same, and I'm high. Please, slow down. He obliges, and slows to about 5 miles an hour, and I make a break for it, swinging the door open and jumping out of the still-moving car. I feel like I'm fucking flying as I hit the dirt of the side road, and crab walks until I get to my feet. Then I break out in a run. I probably look like a fucking lunatic, arms flailing, but I did not give a fuck, nor did I bother looking back. The oldest cousin I lived with was 39, male and built like a fucking Simone. If I could get to my house, everything would be okay. That was all I could think. Plus, because he turned, we had actually passed my house, so he would have to drive to the next driveway and turn around, because it was a narrow road. Plus, he was at the bottom of the hill, so he wouldn't be able to see which house I was in. I didn't see headlights, so I figured that was a good sign. Finally, I ran into my front yard, unlocked the front door, relocked it, and slid down to the floor, a shaking, crying mess. I ran to the front window and peeked out. No one on the street, no cabbie, nothing. I was safe. I thought. I ended up not telling anyone what happened, because I always got the same lecture when something bad happens to me. You were acting like some stupid little college white girl. If you were smarter, yada yada yada, but everything seemed okay. I started working day shifts only, avoided being alone or ever at that bus stop. Life went on. About a week later, I noticed a black car with tinted windows parked a few houses down from my house. Figured it was a neighbor's friend and brushed it off. Only it was there the next day too, and the next. I finally asked one of my cousin's sons, about 17 years old, if he'd seen it. He said it showed up around 6 every day, which is when I would get home from work. I started freaking out. Finally, I broke down and told my giant cousin what happened, leaving out the meth part. Surprisingly, he didn't lecture me. He felt bad that I felt I couldn't come for him for support, and apologized for riding me so hard about being from the mainland, and he'd said he'll deal with the black car. The next day, my cousin's son picked me up from the bus stop near the house on his moped. We noticed the black car following us, but acted like we didn't. We pulled up to the house, and as soon as the black car parked, out came my big-ass cousin with a metal baseball bat, taking practice swings as he approached the car. It reversed halfway down the street, hit a fence, jumped a curb, turned around in the front yard, and was never seen again. Trenchcoat Sprinter. This must have been around 8th grade. It was late at night and I was bored as hell. It gets really hot in the desert, even at night. I decided to go on a walk. As usual, the roads were empty, not uncommon for a small town. Wearing shorts and a tank top, I was still sweating at 12 at night. The pavement radiated the heat. It absorbed from the sun. I could feel it through my flip-flops. Air was dead still, which was disappointing. The plan was to head to the neighborhood park, because it had grass that was watered at night, and generally proved some relief from the heat. I only made it a few blocks before I saw him, quite a bit down the road. There was a hugely tall, minimum 7-foot guy walking towards me on the same side of the road. He was on the wrong side, technically, and his gait freaked me out a little, so I crossed to the other side of the street. As we both continued to walk towards each other on the opposite sides of the road, I noticed he was wearing a trench coat, a full-length, heavy-ass trench coat in the 100-degree midnight heat. We pass under a street lamp at the same time and make eye contact. Mistake. He immediately starts running at me diagonally across the road. Full tilt. He crossed half the blacktop in 2 seconds. Oh shit, I bolted. I could hear his motorcycle boots pounding on the pavement behind me. I could hear his leather trench coat swishing. Luckily, I was a pretty fast runner as a kid, but one of my flip-flops broke. I tripped, but I didn't fall. I heard his breath catch. He was close as hell. Lost the other flip-flop and kept straight on running over rocks and broken glass to get home. As I rounded the corner to my house, I could no longer hear us stopping. He had crapped out. With bloody feet, I flew up the staircase and locked the door home alone. I turned up the TV and hid in the back bedroom. Bob, Leo, and his friends. This happened 3 years ago when I was in 9th grade, 14 years old at the time. Me and several classmates were on a school trip to a city, which was a 5-hour trip from home. We were accompanied by 2 teachers from our school, and we were going to stay there for 3 nights, specifically in a hotel. Our purpose for going there is to attend a regional invention contest and exhibit, which is only held once every 2 years. Our hotel wasn't a very big one. It only has 2 floors and fit for the general public. Right next to the hotel is a 7-Eleven convenience store, and a short walk from there is the school where the exhibit is held. As the total kids that were there, we were restless in that city, especially the 7-Eleven, which we didn't have back at our small town. We would often hang out there on our free time, and the fact that it opens 24 hours meant that we could go there almost every time. One night, me, my 2 close friends, and 4 other classmates decided to have a midnight snack in that same 7-Eleven. It was close to midnight in the evening, and most stores in the city had been closed already. There are very few people walking around, and we were probably the only kids walking around at that time. Our teacher had warned us about going out late at night, but I guess we were too stubborn to listen. The 7-Eleven itself was empty, aside from one small man, probably in his 20s, who was manning the cash register. We each bought a small snack for ourselves and had a chat with each other for a few minutes. The street outside was completely empty. While I was looking through the sweets and chocolate aisles, I heard a masculine voice near the tables where my classmates were sitting. I went over and saw a different man, 30 to 40 years old, talking to 2 of my female classmates and another male classmate at the same table. He was fairly large, wore a green t-shirt and khaki pants. He also had a tattoo in his right arm, but unfortunately, I couldn't remember what that looked like. He introduced himself as Bob Leo. I'm pretty sure he made that up, and told my classmates he was a musician, and tried to sing a few lyrics from the Bob Marley song, No Woman, No Cry, which was clearly off tune. I stood behind one aisle, occasionally glancing over and quietly listening to their conversation. My classmate tried to talk back, but the sound of their voice hinted that they were feeling uncomfortable. Meanwhile, my male classmates stood close by. Some of them tried to talk to Bob Leo in order to give my classmate to slip past them. By then, I was already on my phone, holding it, getting ready to call our teachers if needed. But then Bob Leo called out to me and my friends, asking us to take as many soft-serve ice cream as we wanted from the store, as we were getting treated by his friends, pointing towards 2 other men sitting outside the store, staring at us. We slowly went over to the cashier, and he handed us 3 ice creams. As he handed me the last ice cream, he whispered to me, telling me to leave immediately, along with my classmates, as he would try to distract them. I nodded as a reply. I gave the ice creams to my other classmates, and I looked over and saw one of my friends talking to the men outside. Apparently, he was the closest to the exit, and when he tried to leave, he was stopped by the 2 men. I couldn't hear what they were talking about at the time. I told my other classmate what the cashier had told me, and he told the rest. While Bob was still talking, one of my classmates, the one that was male, went over to my female classmate and invited her to leave, acting like her boyfriend. Another did the same to my other female classmates. I opened my phone and acted like I received a message from our teacher telling us to go back to the hotel. Bob tried to stall us, this time more assertive, but we were already on our way out. As I walked out, I grabbed my friend by the shoulder and told him we were leaving. The two men also tried to stop us, grabbing my friend by the hand, but he slid past. They said they were teachers of the school that we were attending the exhibit on. But when I asked about the event, they couldn't answer anything about it, which was obvious that they were just bullshitting us at that moment. As we were walking down the path, one of them yelled, "Hey! Nakadali Nakunta!" which in English means, "Damn, we almost got them." We then left in a hurry, my female classmates all shaking. When we got back, the girls started sobbing and we comforted them. I asked my friend what he and the two other men were talking about, but he told me it was just nonsense and all lies and stuff like that. We eventually told our teachers what happened, and they spoke to the police about it eventually. The next day, we weren't allowed to leave at nighttime anymore. We never got to thank the cashier before we went home, but left them a small token of our appreciation. As for Bob Leo and his creepy friends, let's not meet.